With WrestleMania just days away, fans have a solid idea of what to expect at the 35th edition of the Showcase of the Immortals. However, as you probably know, the WWE often has many of the matches planned well ahead, but in the immortal words of French philosopher Jean-Paul Sartre, stuff happens, which means that what we're seeing this Sunday isn't everything that was in the works for WrestleMania. Join us now as WrestleLamia looks at cancelled plans for WrestleMania 35. Number 1. Asuka vs Mandy Rose for the SmackDown Women's Championship. Fans wondering why there wasn't any build-up for the SmackDown Women's Championship for WrestleMania found out last week when Charlotte defeated Asuka for the belt, making the triple threat match between Charlotte, Becky Lynch and Raw Women's Champion Ronda Rousey even more interesting. Fans lamenting how Asuka got left out in the cold have even more reason to be upset, as originally the WWE was going to feature the Empress of Tomorrow defending a belt against none other than Mandy Rose. Rose was supposed to win the number 1 contenders match, setting the stage for the 2 women's title defenses, not to mention the Women's Tag Team Championship. According to the Wrestling Observer, the WWE was concerned about ensuring Mania had enough time, so they cut what they felt was an unimportant title match. Instead, fans will see Mandy Rose and Asuka compete in the Women's Battle Royal, a match whose only redeeming value is that it's not named after the fabulous Moolah. Number 2. John Cena vs Lars Sullivan. NXT superstar Lars Sullivan seemed to have the world on a string if the stories of his debut are true. Wrestling scuttlebutt has it the menacing NXT star was scheduled to attack John Cena prior to the Royal Rumble, eliminating Cena from competing in January's big event. This would have led to a grudge match at WrestleMania with Cena seeking revenge. Instead, Sullivan reportedly got cold feet and bailed on the WWE, never showing up for what should have been a big day in his career. There were high hopes for Lars' work on the main roster, but right now, there's still no word on whether he'll make an appearance. With Vince McMahon bemoaning what he calls a stale main roster, Sullivan may have missed out on the opportunity of a lifetime. Nonetheless, WWE executive Triple H discussed the matter during his NXT TakeOver conference call this January, stating, "Paul said that there's always speculation and stories all the time. He said Lars is in a good place and nothing has really changed. He said you will know when you see it, but nothing has changed." Number 3. Dean Ambrose vs Roman Reigns vs Seth Rollins. As we've noted before, anything can happen in the WWE both on camera and behind the scenes. Injuries can ruin the biggest plans, and in the case of Roman Reigns, his leukemia relapse disrupted many of the WWE's plans for the main event in 2018 and 2019. Thankfully, Roman's leukemia is back in remission, which means he's still competing at WrestleMania. However, before Roman's leave of absence, the go-to main event for WrestleMania 35 seemed to be a triple threat match between him and the Hounds of Justice. With Dean Ambrose turning heel, this would have set up a match with Roman and Dean and Seth Rollins competing for the Universal Championship, presumably with the big dog still holding the belt. This match didn't happen, and while it still could have happened, Dean Ambrose's apparent pending departure from the WWE means it wasn't just meant to be. However, if the lunatic fringe sticks around, we may see a triple threat next year at the Show of Shows. Number 4. Roman Reigns vs The Rock. Another big bout involving Roman Reigns involved his cousin Dwayne The Rock Johnson, who still manages to find time to show up in the WWE occasionally, despite being one of Hollywood's hottest properties. In this case, Roman was going to battle his cousin in what would have been considered a dream match, a battle between 2 of the WWE's biggest stars in what would have certainly been the main event this year. While we don't know if this would have been a babyface versus babyface battle or not, both wrestlers' styles seemed like a natural mesh, so the match had the potential to be a great brawling encounter. In hindsight, it might have been for the best, as while The Rock could have drummed up business for WrestleMania, he could have set Reigns' career back, as it's hard to think of fans cheering Reigns against The Rock. Ultimately, The Rock's busy schedule precluded this from happening, and fans will have to settle for Reigns taking on Drew McIntyre this Sunday. Number 5. The Rock vs Brock Lesnar. Their one and only encounter at 2002 SummerSlam pay-per-view originally made Brock Lesnar the youngest WWE champion in history, and cemented Lesnar's rocket-powered rise to the top of the WWE in 2002. Fast forward to 2018 and the WWE was figuring a way to put The Rock into WrestleMania's main event after Roman Reigns was forced to bow out of wrestling. Rumour has it that the WWE was going to have The Rock win the 2019 Royal Rumble and challenge Brock Lesnar for the Universal Championship. While the details are sketchy, the People's Champion would have defeated Lesnar, winning the Universal Championship. Given Lesnar's rare appearances, The Rock could have easily kept up with Lesnar's TV and pay-per-view schedule, but supposedly he wouldn't hold the belt for long, defending it at the WWE's next Saudi Arabia pay-per-view and presumably counting the lights for someone else. Number 6. John Cena vs Kurt Angle. With WWE Hall of Famer Kurt Angle scheduled to wrestle his last match at WrestleMania, some fans are still puzzled why the WWE's Olympic hero is wrestling against Baron Corbin rather than a main event star. Although Angle and Corbin have storyline history from the last several months, there was considerable discussion of Angle wrapping up his career against the man whose WWE career he started, John Cena. Recall Cena's first main roster match was against Kurt Angle, with Cena becoming one of the biggest stars in WWE history, and Angle's accomplishments speak for themselves. An Angle vs Cena match would have been a great finish for Angle's career, and it would have given Cena an instant top spot at Mania. Cena currently has no match scheduled for WrestleMania, although he's reportedly free to work on the grandest stage of them all. Number 7. Ronda Rousey vs Charlotte Flair. The WWE got behind Ronda Rousey as soon as she signed her wrestling contract, certain that Rousey would make the transition from the octagon to the squared circle with ease. While she has struggled on the mic, her ring work has improved every match and she's earned a place in the main event with a solid work ethic. Not surprisingly, the WWE wanted to match Rousey against the women's division's top performer Charlotte Flair, preparing the way for a one-on-one encounter at WrestleMania. The WWE has built up Rousey as an unstoppable submission machine, giving her victory after victory on her way on to winning the Raw Women's Championship and afterwards. One such victory was supposed to be against Becky Lynch at 2018 Survivor Series, but thanks to the fickle finger of fate, Lynch was injured and unable to compete. This change of plan worked well for Lynch, as she experienced a massive boost in popularity, evolving into the Man, one of wrestling's greatest anti-heroes since Stone Cold Steve Austin. While Charlotte vs Rousey was still a goldmine of a match, the WWE realised it could do even better by adding Lynch to the match, although some fans believe it would have been better with Lynch challenging Rousey in just a one-on-one encounter. Whatever the case, the three women will make history as they become the first female competitors to main event at WrestleMania. Number 8. Ronda Rousey vs Natalya. Take this one with a grain of salt, but it's hard to deny that the WWE was setting things up for a Ronda Rousey vs Natalya feud ever since their initial pairing. Natalya had been at Rousey's side, encouraging her rise to the top and offering guidance as she became a WWE superstar. Indeed, fans wondered what purpose Natalya had being at Ronda's side other than eventually turning on her. Natalya, a former Divas champion and SmackDown Women's champion, has the wrestling chops to have made this a good match. However, it's difficult to envision this one being a WrestleMania caliber main event, short of some incredible promotion, something that WWE hasn't shown much acumen with. Regardless, this was a strong consideration of WrestleMania, until the death of Natalya's dad, Jim the Anvil Neidhart, led to Vince McMahon shelving the match. Number 9. Rey Mysterio vs Andrade. Rey Mysterio's 2018 return to the WWE has seen him battling former NXT champion Andrade of late, and if the rumors are true, the two Lucha Libre stars were scheduled for a big bout at Mania, with one story having it that Rey would put his mask on the line against Andrade's hair. The story behind the scenes for months was that Rey and Andrade would eventually set aside their differences, forming a tag team, much as Cesaro and Sheamus did after feuding. But for whatever reason, Rey is instead fighting Samoa Joe for the US Championship, and it's unknown whether the WWE will pair Rey and Andrade down the road. Number 10. Kevin Owens vs Daniel Bryan. As we're about to see, the WWE had several ideas for the WWE Champion Daniel Bryan going into WrestleMania. A possible sign that creative doesn't really know what to do with him, but also a sign they have a plethora of potential matches involving him. The first story is that Kevin Owens was going to challenge Bryan for the WWE Championship, with KO working as a babyface to the new Daniel Bryan's heel champion. Instead, the unexpected phenomenon known as Kofi Mania happened, with Kofi Kingston filling in for an injured Mustafa at February's Elimination Chamber event and becoming an overnight star. Number 11. Jeff Hardy vs Daniel Bryan. Another match mentioned involving the eco-friendly WWE Champion would have been the charismatic enigma Jeff Hardy battling Bryan over the organic WWE Championship. Whether the WWE was concerned about the possibility of Jeff winning the hemp belt and smoking it kept them from booking the match, or realizing Jeff might be better used elsewhere, the match never came to fruition. Number 12. Daniel Bryan vs Shane McMahon. While the WWE Universe is excited about seeing the recently turned heel Shane McMahon taking on The Miz, there were discussions about Shane battling The Miz at Mania either for the WWE Championship or in a straight-up grudge match, much like Shane O'Mac is doing against the WWE's Awesome One. Late last year, the Wrestling Observer newsletter suggested that Shane McMahon's World Cup win at the Crown Jewel would lead to a slow heel turn, as Shane bragging of being the best in the world. It's easy to see how the Daniel Bryan-Shane McMahon tag team could have broken down, leading to a feud, but the WWE seems to have done better with Bryan's current role as a heel champion and Shane's beef against The Miz. Number 13. Shawn Michaels vs Daniel Bryan. Shawn Michaels' return to the ring had many fans wondering if Crown Jewel was really a one-night-only affair, or whether the Heartbreak Kid was planning on at least one last singles match. It was perhaps inevitable that the talks turned to Mr. WrestleMania lacing up the boots one last time for a match against Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania 35, in what could have topped Michaels' legendary first of two Mania matches against The Undertaker. And number 14. Drew McIntyre vs Roman Reigns for the Universal Championship. Drew McIntyre's current run in the WWE has been much better than his last appearance in the company, with the Scottish psychopath enjoying a strong push. Last year, there were rumours circulating that the WWE was building up for a match against Universal Champion Roman Reigns, with suggestions Drew would defeat Reigns for the belt. Once again, Reigns' sabbatical led to a change in plans, which is why Reigns is fighting McIntyre but not for the Universal Championship. But there you have it, guys, some of the original matches planned for WrestleMania 35. Are there any matches on our list that you wish had still gone on at WrestleMania this year, or are you happy with this year's lineup? Let us know in the comments down below, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content. Number 3. Dean Ambrose vs Roman Reigns vs Seth Rollins for the Universal Championship.